Hi there, I've got a question for you. Do you feel you've been treated unfairly by the NHS? If you complained about your treatment, do you feel that you were then victimised for making that complaint? A few years back, when you heard about the post office scandal, did you then think that's exactly the same as the NHS treatment of people who make a complaint? Well, you're not alone. Let me start off by giving you a bit of background. From the title strip down the bottom there, you'll see vasculitis treatment pathway. I suffer from a rare condition called vasculitis. It can be treatable given the appropriate medications in a timely fashion. And I had successfully been treated up until 2000 at lockdown, where I was in drug-free remission. And that lasted for several years until the start of 2023, February 2023, I suffered my first relapse. And at that point, I started to create a blog, just like a diary, just to keep track about my fight to take vasculitis from relapse into remission, just to track what's going on. When I went back to the NHS to ask for treatment again, because the condition had resurfaced, I found that treatment wasn't going to be given to me. The previous treatment that worked wasn't going to be offered, and there was being offered some other strange things. So I started making notes of it because I had a feeling something wasn't going to go well. After the first treatment, it damped the condition down, and then I had a relapse. And I got another treatment that was kind of vague, didn't really do anything. It damped the condition down, and it relapsed again. And by day 39 of my third relapse, I saw this thing on TV. I was channel hopping and I saw the First Minister's questions. And I thought, oh, wait a minute. And this is actually about the post office inquiry, but this applies directly to me, or it felt like it. And it was Hamza Yusuf, who was First Minister at the time, and it was Anna Sarwar, an MSP for Scottish Labour, who was asking the question. And what he asked was, or what he pointed out was, the first instinct of institutions and government is to protect themselves. That's the NHS complaints department, definitely. He said the government is meant to be on the side of the people. And that's what you think of the NHS complaints department. You think that's on the side of the people when you put your complaint in. When victims come looking for justice, all they get are more barriers put in their way. The silence, denial, and cover-up compounds the injustice and amplifies the victim's pain. That was in reference to the post office inquiry. Able-bodied people that were fighting, a much smaller institution, the post office, compared to the NHS. Just imagine you're really quite ill and you're trying to fight the NHS to get treatment. And they say we must learn from the lessons and that it cannot be allowed to happen again. But it does, over and over again. Then Hamza Yusuf came back, the First Minister, and said, where necessary, we will always investigate. Whether that's through independent commissioners such as the Patient Safety Commissioner. What? Patient Safety Commissioner? Is that really a thing yet? Will it apply to individuals like me? He also mentioned through the duty of candor in relation to National Health Service. How do you get that running? How do you get that in place? How do you get a duty of candor investigation going? I have no idea. Or through the public inquiries that we instruct. Well, it's really difficult to get a public inquiry going and such a waste of money. He then said the government's approach has been and always will be. The government's approach has been and will always be to ensure that we seek the truth and we do right by the people of Scotland. Anyway, when I saw that, I thought that they're talking about the post office scandal, but this applies directly to what I've witnessed, my treatment through the NHS. I've also got a link, and we'll have a wee listen to it here.
Anna Sarwar.
Presiding Officer, too often in this country, when there is an injustice, the first instinct of institutions and government is to protect themselves. Whether it's the sub-postmasters taking on the post office, the Hillsborough scandal, the C. diff scandal at the Vale of Leven, or victims at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital. It shouldn't take victims disclosing the most harrowing moments of their lives to shame both of Scotland's governments into action, but it happens too often. Government is meant to be on the people's side, but tragically when victims come looking for justice, all they get are more barriers put in their way. And the silence, denial and cover-up compounds the injustice and amplifies their pain. Now, ministers, be they Scottish or UK, always say we must learn the lessons and it can't be allowed to happen again. But it does. So does the First Minister agree that the priority for government should be truth and justice for victims rather than protecting institutions or protecting individual reputations?
I'll add a link to this down below, so you can go and have a listen to it yourself if you want. But certainly, if you find this to be the case for yourself, someone you know is going through something similar, let me know in the comments below. Like in the post office scandal, I can't be the only one that's finding what feels like victimisation from the NHS complaints department. So again, let me know in the comments below if you're going through a similar experience. Can't be the only one. Anyway, it's early January. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone. Good luck with your treatments.